In today's video, we're trying to get our abs or our core to go from looking like this to looking like this. How much core work, ab training should you be doing to reach this goal? Hey guys, what's going on? This is Paul Revella from ProPhysique.com. In today's video, we're gonna talk about abs being made in the kitchen, abs being made in the gym, and we're gonna talk about just how frequently and how much you should train abs and when you should. And today's question comes from a really cool spot. For those of you that know, our transformation challenge, the 90-day challenge, started a few weeks ago. And I love to go in there and talk to everybody, give them some support. In fact, this week what I did was I asked them some questions. I said, what do you guys want to make video topics about? Because it's been going for a couple weeks, and what I find is that people start to ask questions. And we had some great questions about things like, you know, how fast does a metabolism adapt? When should you start using a pre-workout? And so these are video topics that I'm going to be addressing in the future. I plan to start putting out a lot more content now that I'm through this initial beginning of the year. And so what I want to talk to you about today is just exactly that, like the idea of abs being made in the kitchen, and you know, what percent of abs is down to training. So if you're not familiar with the anatomy of the core, okay, the muscles that we commonly refer to as the abs, the rectus abdominis, they sit on top of an abdominal wall, okay? Underneath that abdominal wall, and it goes around our body, is the transverse abdominis. This really acts like a brace for our body. And what can be missed when it comes to core training is that this section of the body connects the upper to the lower. Yeah, no duh, Paul, right? But what I mean by that is, when you're talking about force production, upper body, lower body, the core is very important for transferring energy and for keeping us healthy and safe. And for this reason, I never suggest cinchers or waist trainers, because what it does is it turns off these muscles of the core that are so important for bracing. So when it comes to core training, I'll be honest, my first couple of years competing, I didn't really do a lot of core training until I was lean enough to see my abs. Now, fortunately for me, I had a very good foundation of muscle. Why? Well, because for the first 20-something years of my life, I played sports year round. I grew up in Florida. I played baseball all the way through college. I played basketball all the way through high school. I played volleyball all the way through college. I was always running, jumping, and sprinting. And even nowadays, I've transitioned to being a tennis player. And a lot of the times you don't realize when you're playing a sport, but you're engaging. You are using your core to move around, right? And so having developed core, it's not necessarily the same type of training that I would suggest for building up the quads, building up the shoulders. However, those rectus abdominis, they do respond to kind of progressive overloading. Not to the same degree that you can with a squat, but you can engage these muscles and make them better. So what I usually suggest for people that are not lean enough to see their abs yet is that we're doing several days a week, as many as 2 or 3, where we're doing some type of core stability work, bracing work, and training the rectus abdominis directly. Now, I have a free core training program that I wrote when I went back to school. I studied exercise science at the University of South Florida. I actually wrote for one of my classes a core training program, you know, based around all these principles. If you guys are interested in that, I'd be happy to give it to you for free. Just comment below that you'd be interested in the free core training program, and I'll put the link. I'll have to upload it to somewhere like Google Drive or something so you guys can download it. But the idea will be just, you know, you can have it. But core training for me has become more of a staple year round, even when I'm not lean enough to see them. But let's make no mistake about it. It doesn't matter how good your abs are developed. If you are, as a man, over 20% body fat, they're just not going to be visible. Think of body fat as a layer in between your muscles and your skin. That's where our body fat resides. And the more of it you have, the blurrier it's going to make your muscles. And so I think back to my first ever contest prep, and I remember when I could start to see a little bit of abs, I thought, man, I'm getting lean. No. Getting down to that 5-6% body fat level, where there's literally the skin on my stomach was like the thinnest skin you can imagine, so thin. And it was kind of neat to see, because even when I would stand relaxed, like my abs would pop. Now, I'm what, 215 pounds right now? I'm gonna show you guys my abs. Reminder, I get under 200 pounds, between 195 and 200 pounds. So this becomes much more visible. But I remember when I could start to see the outline of my abs, I thought, oh wow, I'm getting lean. From here, imagine it's another 10 or 15 pounds of body fat that comes off. That really starts to shrink wrap that look, right? It's crazy what it does. And that's not gonna happen no matter how much abs you have, unless you get 12%, 10%, 8%. You know, guys can kind of carry some body fat a little bit differently, but for most men, the lower abdominals, the lower back is kind of those spots that tend to hold on to it the longest. So you've got to diet through where your face gets lean, your shoulders get lean, you might get some chest striations, you might get some quad striations. You got to learn to diet through those phases. And so I would suggest that you start implementing a couple days of abs, 1 to 2 days right away. And you can even just do them between sets. If you're going to the gym, just keep an eye out for one of the machines. I'll tell you my 3 favorite ab movements. Decline sit-ups, right? Set the decline bench, put your feet in. I've done some videos on this, and just hoist yourself up, right? This really hits the entire abdominal wall. And I'll tell you this, if you can do sets of 12 to 15 of those, you're gonna have some nice strong abs. I also love the cable pull downs, right? Because there's no stress on the spine or the back when you do that. But one of my favorites is actually the ab chair, where you can put resistance. You put your elbows in and it's just, your elbows go down and your knees come up. I'll give you a little secret. What I do right now is 3 to 4 days a week. I do 1 set of abs, 1 set, 1 exercise, 1 set to failure, right? And what I find is that this just keeps my abs engaged while I am trying to, you know, train other body parts. It makes it fun for me because I'm lean enough where I can kind of see the outline of my abs. I plan to diet down this year. I'll be 50 in October. And so I plan to diet down. I don't know if I'll do a show or do a photo shoot, but I'll show you guys the process of what it looks like going from 215 down to 200 and maybe below, competing in a bodybuilding show, we'll see. But just how visually that changes you. If you haven't watched my videos in the past where I've done this, you know, the leaner you get, the more striking the changes become. I'll actually look more muscular despite weighing 10, 15 pounds less. I'll start getting accusations of steroid use, which is, you know, understandable now that they are so readily available. But the beauty of the ab muscles is there's no sneaky way to get them, right? If you see somebody that is lean enough to have a visible, you know, defined core, they're putting in work, right? They're putting in work with their diet. They're being consistent with their training. They're just taking care of themselves. And so I think it's why it's so coveted. I heard some ridiculous statistic about how rare it is to see your abs. Like there's more billionaires than people. I don't know how true those stats are, because basically everybody that diets down and competes gets the abs. Now, keeping them is harder than getting them, I'll say that. It's something that it took me many years to learn, where I don't have these big swings. And that's what I really like helping you guys with. Not only is it about getting the physique that you're after or losing the weight that you want to lose, it's about understanding how to create a lifestyle so that when you get there, you can maintain it, you can keep it. So hopefully this answered your questions. Let me know if you guys would like the free ab guide. For now, I would say 2 days a week, go in and do 1 to 2 exercises, you know, do some progressive overload and just test yourself out. It's really fun to go and do a decline sit-up and be like, man, I can only do 3. And then if you do it twice a week for 4 to 6 weeks, promise you, you'll be doing 10 to 15 in a couple of weeks. And then you can really start to feel those ab muscles pop, and that's underneath that body fat, depending on how much body fat you have. And if you don't know where to start with how to lose body fat, I've got plenty of those topics. So comment below. Thank you guys from the Facebook group for the New Year Transformation Challenge. We will be having a summer one and we will be having a fall one. But for now, really, I just want to provide support. So I'm going to do some more videos for you guys in the group. I've already got some saved. So keep asking these great questions and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.